Okay, so I'm seeing people coming in. I get some music on. Just wait for people to come in. Okay. I'm gonna stop. Okay. So, today as I promised all of you, we'd be welcoming Catherine Urban to the Amenten. There's a smudge on these glasses. My goodness gracious. Okay, I'm going to need to clean these because I can't get a smudge on them. Okay, get these cleaned. Because there's a little smudge that I noticed. I want to really get personal to you, with you, because I want to introduce something. It's called a birthday buddy pairing. And we've never done this here at the Amenten, but I think I'm going to initiate this because that is what I do, being Sun in Aries, initiating things. And I really have to give a lot of credit to my sign, and it will be really put under the microscope the next 3 years, 4 years. It's really going to be put under the microscope and looked at. And it's going to be where the North Node is going to be moving to, so it obviously is going to be the direction of happiness and fulfillment for ourselves individually and for the world. So. Okay, now, so I want to talk to you, first of all, before I get into what I want to talk about. I do want to let you know that we'll be going downstairs. I'll have Susan move the screen down there. Not because I need to work. So funny, work. If you think about work. Not for somebody else, but for myself. So it should be pretty, it should be better. As a thing to get people, involved in. I know that we cut it short the other day. But anyway, I don't want to talk about yesterday, because, we know what happened yesterday. Shouldn't happen again. Let's just move on. Okay. Now, today, I'm not going to do this. Move this over here. It's going to be better. Okay. Move it on the meter. Okay, there we go. That's going to be better. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see me. Okay, now. So we're talking about birthday pairings. So people born on the same day. Now, I want to get real and raw and honest, because we are talking about the moon in Sagittarius, so we're dealing with truth. I'd say all, Aquarius, Capricorn, Scorpio, and Sagittarius all deal with truth really strongly and profoundly, because Aquarius is, okay, this is how it is, and let's innovate this for the future. Capricorn is, okay, well, let's see the reality of this. This is how it's always been done. Sagittarius, well, this is the blunt truth of it. And let's explore this truth in a higher, more interesting, expansive way. And Scorpio is about healing and evolving from the truth. So all four of those signs, if we look at them, correspond to truth. Now, anyway, that was your, astrology lesson there. Now, the truth is that, I'm going through a couple of things, And, despite all of the flaws that I'm certainly finding in things and working with, despite all that, things are not broken. Videos are not broken. And it doesn't have to be a negative experience. It doesn't have to be really difficult, really taxing. Whenever I sit down and watch a video, there's always 5 million things I have to do. 5 million details to have to check and things to fix and things to organize before I can watch a video. And then again, I feel the need to do something when I'm trying to watch the video. And, I've certainly been experiencing that when I watch videos, including Catherine Urban's videos. So it's going to be interesting to invite to this Amenten a guest, someone who I've seen, who I'm kind of wanting to enjoy and feeling disappointed that I can't enjoy, watching videos of her because of all the things I'm dealing with. Yet we're talking about somebody with a sun in Libra and moon in Scorpio. Makes for a wonderful therapist. Libra's really, it wants to be diplomatic, and it wants to negotiate, and it wants to find solutions, and it's very good with connecting with others and offering ideas and sharing ideas. Libra is the energy of sharing in relationships. And Scorpio is about healing from truth. Again, that, place of truth. And it's about getting real and intense and moving through change despite how uncomfortable it is. And change is not always comfortable. It isn't comfortable. And Scorpio urges us to go to the realms that are not comfortable. And it may feel really difficult in the present moment, but down the line it'll really serve you in profound ways. So it's really nice that there is a Mars-ruled energy. Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio, really intense, emotion with the moon in Scorpio, and the sun in Libra ruled by Venus. So you get a little bit of both, And Scorpio is about truth. And it is about authenticity, getting real. That's, really, we're looking at the high road of Scorpio here. And the North Node is in Taurus. But then we look at the South Node in Scorpio. And that's the kind of work that we're dealing with. Shadow work, releasing stuff, releasing the shadow sides to move into Taurus. The polarities of the signs overlap. They really do. And the North Node in Scorpio transit has its own things going on and its own themes going on. But, it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be the purest and most abundant feeling of joy that I have bringing in an Amenten guest. It is where we need to get real and honest. And there is something impaired and something, it's going to be interesting. And it's to prove that nothing has to be perfect. I was watching, videos of this person, and I certainly was not feeling perfect. I was sitting on adjusting my glasses, doing this and doing that. It wasn't perfect. This is not an express Amenten guess, so let's just clarify that right here and right now. That's something rhetorical and something that we can clear out of the way. This is not an express Amenten guest and a member of this astrological community here. However, my Jupiter placement, it's not my favorite. It's really not. Jupiter is really big, expansive. It deals with abundance. It deals with joy. It deals with looking at life, viewing it through the big picture. And Virgo is very different than that. I think it's opposite. It's Mercury ruled. It rules the details. So the positive side is I'm really detail oriented, and I'm really good at taking care of details, and I can ground whatever Jupiterian idea that I have. That's the positive side of that. The downside is getting bogged down in things and not being able to see the bigger picture. Of not just being completely free and liberated and expansive, where, when is the next thing I need to fix? When is the next problem? Where's, what about the schedule? What, we don't want to do that. What about this detail over here? What about the next shoe? Is it going to drop? That's the downside. And I'm going to look at both sides. From personal experience, I have Sagittarius rising. I'm ruled by Jupiter. It's in Virgo. It's also retrograde too, so yeah, I don't have my Jupiter and Saturn placements are not very good. Both of them are astrologically in their signs of detriment. And knowing that, I don't believe that. I mean, I'm just stating the fact, and I'm just stating bias, or no, I'm stating personal experience. There's a section, Astrology with Heather, has a guide, a PDF guide that, in her videos she says, download this guide. I downloaded it. It gives just the signs, the houses, the planets, the aspects. It gives all that information, so that you can better understand what she's talking about when she makes her videos. For the viewers out there, of course, I understand all that information very, very well at this point. And there's a section of that guide where it puts the signs in a certain place, in a certain pecking order. And this is entirely belief, entirely perception. So it puts the planets and then the signs. The Sun in Aries and Leo are better placements than Libra and Aquarius. Well, it puts it into place of, okay, this is rulership, this is exaltation, this is detriment, this is fall. That system I don't agree with. I don't agree with it when guilty is charged. Guilty is charged. I mean, I may state the fact of something, that doesn't mean that I believe it. I don't believe that any planet is detriment in any sign whatsoever. That idea is false. I don't believe that any planet is weaker in any sign versus any other. I believe that it's just different. The planet expresses its qualities differently. It's going to be different, not better or worse, but different. The fact that some astrologers do not carry that and say that and express that, and the fact that some of them have a kind of pecking order for certain placements above others. Now, I'm guilty as charged. I've done this, so I'm guilty as charged. I've said this, I'm guilty as charged. But I didn't start this. I heard it being said, and I just picked up on it, and I'm here to own my words. I'm here to own the fact that putting planets in pecking orders of some placements being above others is irresponsible. And in spirituality, there is a both and concept. Not either or, it's both and. I'm sure that some of you have heard that. It's not one over the other, one against the other. You know, we can have both. They can both coexist together. You know, it makes for much more openness, much more variety. Yeah, it's much more spiritual. Much more spiritual. Life is not a zero-sum game. Let's just get that clear. Now, it's just kind of irresponsible. If I have to, the fact that, astrologers, some of them own their biases, others don't. But, the fact that there is such a thing as a system of planets and signs as being stronger or weaker or better or worse, that, no. I don't agree with that, and that is, I don't understand why there is that system. I really don't. It's unbelievable to me. Why, we take something that is so different and we make it less than. You're weaker than this over here. I'm sorry. The truth of the matter is, stronger is better, weaker is worse, or less good. There's an association with those terms for a reason. They kind of link together. And that's the belief system. I don't believe in that. Venus in Virgo is a really fine placement. Mars in Cancer is a wonderful placement in its own way. It may not be this or that over here with Mars in Aries. And Mars in Cancer has its own downsides. Mars in Aries has its own downsides. Jupiter in Sagittarius has its own downsides. You could just say Jupiter is detriment in Sagittarius. Is also really happy to personify planets in Sagittarius. It's both and. It's both and. There's both good, bad, light, dark, and all things. And that goes along with planets. That's important to remember. All the placements have upsides and downsides. That doesn't mean that we can put placements in categories and boxes. It's wrong. Wrong. That's why, here's something that I'm going to say. So many astrologers say, Mercury retrogrades this and that, don't do this, do this. I didn't agree with that. Do live your life. Don't be victim to what they're saying. So I just find it really ironic that there's this protocol. Well, here's a protocol. Don't completely hand over your life to that kind of information. You can absolutely sign a contract during Mercury retrograde. You can absolutely initiate, because that's what happens in life. Life is life. My grandparents got married during Mercury and Mars retrograde. And look where they are now. 80 to 86 years old. 84 to 86 years old, I'm going to say. And Mercury was retrograde during their, now obviously they probably, I can guarantee you, they agreed to get married before that Mercury retrograde, or maybe when Mercury was retrograde, I don't know. Point is, it's always put in a bad light when something new happens during, like that whole thing about, oh, this is inconvenient. Don't do this. This is wrong. Don't, it's wrong to initiate something. It's inconvenient to sign a contract, to do this, to do that. I didn't agree with that. You can go down that whole, rabbit hole of all those negative things. An association has been formed to it that makes it look wrong to do certain things. Oh, it's against the rules, it's protocol. Well, that's not empowering or positive. That's not empowering, so therefore, forget about it. That is not spiritual. It's not, not at all, responsible. Even astrologers say, to do this or to not do that, which is, that's not responsible. Because you need to do whatever you want to do, no matter what the planets are doing. Because you do have that freedom, and it doesn't matter if Mercury is retrograde, or Venus, or Mars is retrograde, or whatever is going on. It really doesn't. So maybe that whole storyline and that whole narrative creates a lot of fear and negativity placed upon Mercury retrograde as this awful thing which is negative. And it's so easy to buy in to the negativity of that. It's so easy, even the smallest things you can, make it so that it's just how it is. Certain things you can do to not give into that narrative, and other things, happen. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, we need to get going here. Now, I'm going to be having, you can go grab, Catherine, and then we can begin. You're welcome. I'm going to get that same music on here. I really don't have a lot of things to do today, so I'm doing this. I'll get through all this stuff on the more quicker. That's what I'll get to here coming up. Let me go to my viewing history here. Welcome. I'm really thrilled to have you here. Yeah. So this is my Amenten.